So I think the obvious question is, where have I been? I kind of put off on making this video for quite a while because basically the longer it went on, the more I got a little bit embarrassed about it. And I was kind of like, man, I really don't know if I should make a video right now until I'm really ready to get back into the swing of things. So about a year ago, I made a video in which I talked about the difficulty that I had with sort of this dual career that I have, where I am both in the video game industry and in the fitness industry. I have work that I do in both. And at the time, I had been laid off from my job in games a couple of years ago. And I had spent about a year looking for jobs, trying to find the right role, and not really finding one that fit. And so during that time, I just refocused a lot more on my fitness stuff. Great, awesome, worked well. Was able to focus on my business and all of that, finding clients. That worked fine. However, I got to a point where I was fed up with searching for games jobs. There really wasn't a lot on the market. It's also a very bad time. It's been a very bad time for video game jobs in general. Game development has gone through a bit of a retraction in terms of basically just the amount of funding that's out there for projects. Obviously, we had this big boom in COVID 2020 through about 2022, 2023, where basically a lot of stuff was getting greenlit, a lot of stuff was getting funded, just because everyone was staying inside. People were playing a lot more video games. Well, that basically started to change, because what really ended up happening is that, naturally, people stopped spending so much time inside. They got a little bit tired of spending so much time inside. They decided, hey, I'm going to go out and hang out with my friends. I'm going to go do other things. And as a big result, the video game industry, which had really, built itself up quite a bit during that period, had to start doing a lot of layoffs. So there have been huge layoffs the last few years, which means there's a crap ton of talent on the market. A lot of that talent is, competing for the few jobs that are left over, or deciding, hey, I'm just going to sit this out and move into another career, retrain, whatever the case is. I've seen people who had a lot more experience than me who decided to retrain in much less prestigious jobs. But anyway, so I was at this point where I was kind of like, I don't know if it makes sense for me to continue looking in games. I was making a decent living for myself, doing all the other stuff that I do. And I made a video about how basically it might not even be worth my time to keep working in games, because really the upside potential, the earning potential of the other stuff that I do is potentially a lot higher. Obviously tougher, involves a lot more work on my end, but still potentially higher. Well, I had to immediately eat my words, because probably the funniest possible thing happened, which is that I made that video, and then that video managed to conjure, extreme irony, setting it out there into the cosmos and the cosmos answering back. And what I got was that within about a week, basically a friend of mine from the industry reached out, and she was like, hey, we've got this role that would be perfect for you. It is a really interesting role. It's very different to the kind of work that I was already doing, but also, of course, obviously also still based in that skill set. And it was also something where it's work with a major IP. I can't really say what IP it is. I can't really say what game I've been working on, simply because it hasn't really officially been announced yet, so I'm not allowed to say. But it is a major brand. It is major intellectual property. It could be a very big deal. And so having the opportunity to work on this game, very exciting for me personally, because this could be a huge step up in my career, particularly if this goes well. So I said, sure, I will take this day job. I have worked, again, in and out of video games for the past decade, and I have always been able to stay on top of everything else I'm doing. All of the time. From 2020 through 2024, I was able to put out basically a video every week, even though I went through multiple job changes and so on. So I kind of expected that this would be the same. However, it wasn't. Ultimately, I found out that I kind of went through a phase where I was really struggling to just do everything that I was trying to do. And I said, okay, I'll stop making videos for a little bit. I'll stop doing blogging for a little bit. And I will pick that back up, in like a month or two when I'm a little more settled in this role. Well, it is now, as you can see, like a year later, right? That did not happen. I think, needed to unplug for a while. I kind of needed to take some time off from making content. I kind of needed to just relax and coast a little bit. I think that I'm a person who likes to work very hard. This is evidenced by the fact that I juggle a bunch of jobs and do a lot of work and, work online, doing all kinds of nebulous stuff that eventually gets me paid sooner or later down the line, right? However, the problem is that I don't have good boundaries in terms of my energy. I tend to be the kind of person who will work and work and work and work until I get myself to a point where I wouldn't say burnt out is the right word or the right phrase, I guess. I don't really ever describe myself as burnt out, but I will go through, I would say, phases of higher and lower energy. So there are phases where I'm, very high energy and I'm like, great, I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to work 12 plus hours a day. Fine, great, do above and beyond, do everything that I can. And then there are also times where, it's like, Christ, I just want to do, maybe not the bare minimum, but, not too much more than the bare minimum. And I've noticed this quite a lot. Obviously, I have been self-employed in some form or another since 2012. So 13 years now. I have gone through phases where I have been, again, higher and lower energy. I went through a phase around 2020 or 2021 where I was really sort of, at that time I would have said burnt out. I was very low energy for quite a while. It took me a long time to recover. I went through a phase in 2024, particularly where I had just been working really, really hard at self-employment stuff for a while. And so I said, okay, gonna need to take a bit of time off, and I relaxed for a while. And then I kind of went into 2025, and again, coasting is not the right word, but I have certainly not been putting all of the energy into all of my business stuff that I normally would. And that has meant obviously not making videos. So this is a short video. Basically it's an apology. It's me saying I am getting started again. I want to really refocus on this. I want to get back to making videos, both about fitness and about video games and everything else in between, whatever. I think my goal is also to make these videos in a way where I am a little more disconnected from worrying so much about the process. I think in the past I've made a lot of videos and I've made a lot of content where I'm like struggling to get it done because I'm kind of like over obsessing over little things. I'm kind of worrying too much about, hey, do I need to do it just the right way? Am I doing this thing right? Am I doing this thing right? I am really trying to focus on finding this pattern, this path where I can just kind of focus on actually making the content without worrying too much about it on an individual basis, piece by piece. In particular, also, very funny sort of turn of events is that my wife has started her own YouTube channel. I don't know if, frankly, any of the people who watch my videos would be interested in her videos and vice versa. Very different genres, but she's doing a lot better than I am, relatively rapidly as well. I kind of knew this. Her particular niche, works really well. Has a lot more, I would say, sort of diehard fans. It's a little bit easier to sort of get into. And of course, also, she has put a lot more effort into getting a lot of things in her videos just right than I have. And so it's very obvious to see that her hard work is paying off and that she is getting a following relatively quickly. At the same time, it's also a little bit personally discouraging for me when, of course, I've put, years into this and I see that, she sort of breezes past me in some ways. Again, it's sort of like the talent versus hard work sort of question, right? Where, she has both, again, this is not to say she's not putting in hard work, because she is, but she has a lot more natural talent for this than I would say that I do. And so it is a little bit sad, to find yourself sort of in that position. But, I think also it's good because it's helped me to learn from that. It's helped me to understand what I've been doing wrong, what I can do better. And, she thinks about things in very different ways than I do. So she has like a very different perspective that helps me to understand this process more as well. Helps me to grow a bit more as a creator as well. And so I'm really looking forward to, basically us collaborating on things in the future and sort of reinforcing each other. I think that one thing also is that I believe that I will be better reinforced at sort of making content in the future, in part because we are now sort of both YouTubers, right? We're both content creators, YouTubers in the household, which is a little silly, but that's what it is. Anyway, so this is all to say, I hope you are all doing well. I hope you all have not forgotten me. I am going to be returning to making new videos. Going from here on out, I will be more consistent, and hopefully I will be meeting a lot more of you soon. Hopefully we'll be bringing a lot more people in, and hopefully it'll be a good time for everybody. So that is all for today's video. As always, I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you didn't. I don't know why you watched this whole video if you didn't. Very odd. I don't know why you watched this video at all if you don't know who I am and have some kind of parasocial relationship with me, whatever. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, smash the notification bell, a little other funny stuff you do. Have a good one. I will talk to you all next time.